Before we start the video today, guys, let me just say, for those who are experiencing storm-like conditions or hurricane, please be safe. Please do not focus on your material things. Listen to the authorities, and of course, pray for your other brothers who are experiencing these things. You know, all this flooding makes me wonder, where is Spider-Man PlayStation 4 version when you need him? Spidey, how far you have fallen. You know Spider-Man is down bad when it is he can't even save a couple of civilians from a flood. And it seems like Sony cannot catch a break when it comes to things like their online network, because today we are seeing that the PlayStation network was shut down. Yes, it was down for not only PlayStation 4 but also PlayStation 5 gamers. And this is not the first time PlayStation has experienced, you know, issues when it comes to their online service. We know last year they were hacked so many times. I think it was like 2 or 3 times they were hacked. The network was down. It had the Insomniac leak. All of these things, and it makes you really think, what is Sony doing with their money? Why is this constantly happening where their network is down, where they are being hacked and so forth? So Sony is down bad. We even have Sony workers complaining about, you know, games being too difficult. She's even saying, think about the kids.
Consent. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. It is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability.
These guys are worried about kids while playing Elden Ring. How sick you can get. And now we can understand why it is this dude was complaining about the smell going to buy the latest Spider-Man at the time. We can now understand why he, you know, the GameStop was smelling like that.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy 2099. Look, I just left the GameStop midnight release. Why you smell like that, yo? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got a problem because I just want to know why y'all just leaving out the house smelling like that, man. Whole GameStop was smelling like fried onions, earring backs, and foot. Like, bro, as a gamer, that's why the stigma is so bad around all gamers being nerds that don't have no life and just niggas is unwashed. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all smell bad, bro. There's no reason the whole GameStop smell like a cold cut extra onion.
Yes, it's because of ponies like this is why that GameSpot was smelling so hot and spicy.
Hey guys, it's me again, and last night I ended what happened to be the longest streak that I've ever had of not taking a shower, about a month and a half.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
I told you guys it's wild out in these gaming streets. So today what we are going to do is we're going to talk about how Helldivers 2 have seen a drastic decline in its player count. In addition to that, we'll also talk about how Digital Foundry is saying that the PlayStation 5 runs games better than the Xbox Series X. We'll expose Digital Foundry yet again because they're contradicting themselves. So you know what? Let's get it!
This is a sickness!
Let's get it! So before we start the video, guys, do your boy a favor. If you like Xbox news, you like a little sprinkle of Nintendo there, and you love the Sony Pony salt, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Show your boy some love. We are trying to grow the channel by the end of the year to 3,000 subscribers. So do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. Now let's get back to the video. Not too long ago, the only thing the PlayStation community, yes, the only thing the ponies would have been talking about is Helldivers 2. You see, these guys was boasting that Helldivers 2 was killing it in sales. I mean, it made like 10 to 12 million units sold. In addition to that, they would have been rated very high when it comes to their player count on Steam. And yes, the PlayStation community was boasting that, you know what, they buy games, they support games, and so forth. But it just so happened that it came out that it was the PC community, that was basically keeping this game alive. The PC community is what basically adopted Helldivers and, you know, claimed it as their own. That is why the game had so much success. Now, we even had some PlayStation fans trying to justify that here. It is not PC fans who are making this game stay alive. It is actually PlayStation fans. Yes, we even had one of those, raging ponies using his pony mats to try to show everyone that PlayStation is the one who is supporting Helldivers 2. But look at this guy's mats. Look at it here. So this is Guabzilla here on Twitter looking for a win, and he's basically trying to help persons to see that the reason why Helldivers sold so much was because of the PlayStation 5 fans. Notice what he tweeted. He says, it grew mostly cause Helldivers 2, but even there with a 60-40 digital split, PlayStation 5 got 100% of the physical sales, which accounted for an additional 30%. Wow, so PS5 actually edged PC out with Helldivers 2 sales by 10%.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
So yes, the PlayStation community was looking for wins from Helldivers 2, saying that they are the ones who bought the most, they are the ones who played the most, all of these things. But it just so happened that recently we saw an article came out, and we are seeing that Helldivers 2 saw a 90% fall when it comes to player count. I wonder who will be the ones taking the blame for this. Would it be the PlayStation community? Are you saying that the PlayStation community is not playing their games as a service? Now, this is some bad news all around for both Sony and the PlayStation 5 fans. The reason being is because, you see, Sony was betting on this, games as a service. They were betting that, you know what, they are able to keep, the retention of players. They are able to keep, players playing their games as a service. That is why they invested so heavily in Concord. Now, if Helldivers 2, which had a unique game loop, could see such drastic drop-off, do you think Concord, which looks like a regular hero shooter, would see success in the gaming industry after we could see that the industry is flooded with a lot of hero shooters? This game is looking dead on arrival, but we'll have to wait and see how things develop. But it just so happened that the most games played on each platform came out in the month of June, and notice if it is you see Helldivers being played by the PlayStation community. Look at this. Now, don't forget that Helldivers 2 is a PlayStation 5 console exclusive. Look at the PlayStation side there in blue. Are you seeing Helldivers 2 anywhere in the charts that the PlayStation community is playing? I'm seeing Call of Duty, which is a Xbox game. I'm seeing Fortnite. I'm seeing Grand Theft Auto 5. I'm seeing Roblox. I'm seeing Minecraft, another Xbox game. I'm seeing a lot of Xbox games, and I'm seeing a lot of multi-plat games. Where is Helldivers? I thought the PlayStation community supports their game. I thought they support the developers. I thought this is the type of game that they like. We all know that this would have happened. No one would have. This is not catching anyone by surprise. We know the type of games that the PlayStation community loves to play. And guess what? Helldivers 2 was never one of them. So when they were out here capping that they were supporting Helldivers, it's really clear that it is really the PC community who kept that game alive and who made that game big. Shame on you, Ponies, for not even playing your console exclusives. Now let's talk about Digital Foundry. See, Digital Foundry have a very unique place in the gaming industry. I mean, they profit directly off of, PlayStation versus Xbox. So there was one article that the PlayStation community now is hyping up. They are very happy with that article that Digital Foundry would have produced. And in that article, it is said, if Xbox Series X is more powerful, why do some PlayStation 5 games run better? I mean, what a question that is. It's obvious that there are some devs who would choose to focus on one particular console, and it's possible that particular console would run better than the other console. But let's give him a chance, the guy from Digital Foundry, and let's see what he's saying, and then we will have our rebuttal. Listen.
If Xbox Series 10 is more powerful, why do some PS5 games run better? We finally have some answers. On paper, the Xbox Series 10 is a considerably more powerful piece of hardware than PlayStation 5, so why are we looking at a console generation where the Sony and Microsoft machines often deliver like-for-like results? It's a puzzle that has confounded many over the last few years, and after discussions with multiple sources, including some of the highest-profile AAA developers in the business, we finally have some answers, and it's all laid out in this week's edition of DF Direct Weekly. In terms of technical specifications, Xbox Series 10 is undoubtedly the most powerful console on the market, at least until the mooted PlayStation 5 Pro arrives. Its GPU hits 12 teraflops, augmented by a handsome amount of memory bandwidth, a max of 560 GB per second. PlayStation 5, 10.23 TF of GPU compute is available, fed by 448 GB per second of bandwidth. It's a clear divide then. If we were to see that spec comparison in the PC space, you'd expect to see the former handily outperform the latter. Except that hasn't happened this generation. By and large, it's the closest console generation we've ever seen, and in the bulk of multi-platform releases, the differences are fairly minimal. One machine may outperform the other, or vice versa. Sometimes where there are differences, it comes down to variances in dynamic resolution scaling, which often looks invisible in A-to-B comparisons. It's a far cry from the Xbox One X versus PS4 Pro face-off, where the Microsoft machine commanded an obvious advantage, or the PS4 vs Xbox One comparison, where Sony typically held a similarly noticeable lead. So, after a few years of conversations with developers, what's the explanation? How can a less capable machine outperform the more powerful one? As seen recently in our Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree coverage, the frame rate difference in favor of PS5 is surprising, bearing in mind it's apparently the less capable machine. We've heard some interesting theories over the years, such as how Xbox Series 10 split memory setup 560 GB per second of bandwidth on fast memory, 336 GB per second on slow memory may be impacting performance, but the number one reason we've heard from developers concerns the nature of Sony's development environment. More than one key AAA developer tells us that the PlayStation GPU compiler is significantly more efficient than the Microsoft alternative, meaning that there's better utilization of the graphics hardware. In general, we understand that the lower-level API access afforded to PlayStation development means game makers get more from the hardware. The second most common explanation we've received from developers concerns the nature of the GPU itself. Mark Cerny himself discussed this way back in March 2020 when he revealed the technical specifications of the PlayStation 5. While the console may have fewer compute units than Xbox Series 10 36 vs 52, the entire GPU runs faster, meaning that certain tasks will complete faster, better suiting certain game engine designs. The extent of this advantage was always an unknown, as PS5 operates with a boost clock on both CPU and GPU. Maximum clock speeds will be limited by a power limit on the processor. However, we've yet to hear any complaints from developers about the boost clock unduly impacting GPU performance. And in terms of raw numbers, there's an interesting tidbit from the recently leaked PlayStation 5 Pro developer documentation. Engaging the CPU boost option, which increases clock speeds by 10%, only sees GPU performance drop by 1%, effectively negligible then. So, based on our conversations, the combination of a more efficient GPU compiler, lower-level APIs and higher clock speeds allows PlayStation 5 to match or even exceed the outputs of Xbox Series 10 in some scenarios. That said, of course there is value in the approach Microsoft has taken. By standardizing on DirectX 12 and the DXR ray tracing API, there is a commonality with PC development that obviously helps game makers. And of course, Xbox does still have more compute throughput, so game engines that tap into that will see advantages. Additionally, there are situations where the Xbox ecosystem and feature set yields dividends. For example, while Elden Ring may run faster on PlayStation 5, Sony's limited implementation of variable refresh rate support means that we'd much rather play the game on Xbox Series 10, it's just a smoother and more consistent experience. At this point, having heard the same set of points from a range of entirely unrelated developers means it's effectively case closed on this particular topic, and we expect to see a similar situation play out across the rest of the generation. PlayStation 5 Pro, that's going to be interesting. We'd expect it to lean into the same strengths that made PS5 competitive and go beyond. PSSR machine learning-based upscaling should act as an effective multiplier of sorts on its increased GPU performance.
So as was mentioned before, if these third-party developers utilize all the tools and everything that is available on the Xbox Series X, no doubt they would get their games running better on the Xbox Series X compared to the PlayStation 5. But as we know, because these studios want to focus on PlayStation 5, we would see them getting some games running better on the PlayStation 5. Now, make no mistake, this is not cap. If it is these guys utilize the power of the Series X, they would get results like this.
Are where the two systems diverge. Series X, for its part, delivers a very smooth rendition of Alan Wake. In performance mode, the X offers close to a locked 60 FPS, with uncommon exceptions. We can drop a frame or two sometimes during traversal, and there are a few moments that cause momentary frame rate drops, but the game feels quite smooth in general play. The consistency of the turnout here is surprising, and speaks to how scalable the game is on the GPU, and to how accommodating Alan Wake 2 can be towards lower-end CPU hardware. Quality mode is even more stable. In my capture, only this moment in the overlap caused any issues at all, and it poses issues for all other console platforms as well, so there's no particular problem on Series X here. Everywhere else the game runs at a locked 30 frames per second, with no deviations that I could see. Again, Alan Wake 2 is delivering great results, despite the highly advanced visual presentation. PS5 doesn't fare quite as well. Certain areas really struggle in the performance mode, like this forested section, which runs consistently in the 50s. We see occasional dips elsewhere as well, with a bit of an unstable feel in typical play. The frame rate delta against the Series X is surprising, as you can see here, with the PS5 consistently failing to reach its frame time target in some missions. The same is true in the quality mode. The PS5 is just running up against the 33.3 millisecond frame budget all the time, at least in tougher areas like the second Saga Anderson mission. Performance is a bit more stable here as you might expect, and most of the time the game does achieve its 30 FPS target. But the results are a bit more mixed than you'd typically expect from a 30 FPS current-gen game.
His niece's car has been stolen. Find it. This goes to the top of your priority list. You can start by asking about it at some of the local garages. For the Murphy, this is Reed. Mayor Kuzak just stormed into my office. Apparently, his niece's car has been stolen. Find it. This goes to the top of your priority list. You can start by asking about it at some of the local garages. For the
So, did you see the results? Did you see the results of Alan Wake 2? How they saw better frame rates and better visuals on that particular game? Did you see the results of RoboCop? You see, when the devs utilize what the Series X has, it's very clear that the Series X becomes the winner when it comes to these multi-plat games. But we know the devs want to focus on PlayStation 5 because they are the market leader, because they are, may not want to focus on two of the consoles, so utilize everything these consoles has. So they choose the PlayStation 5. Anytime they decide to utilize what the Series X has, we see a great advantage on the Series X side. But let me hear what you would have thought about this particular story. Please let me know in the comment sections below. Don't forget, guys, to like and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.